Today we're going to go ahead and talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. Before we go ahead and get started, let's go over what a line is when it's a horizontal line. Remember that if it's a horizontal line, your slope is going to be 0. So I'm going to write 0 slope. You need to write this down at the very top of your book. Underneath that, go ahead and write y equals a number. It's going to be y equals whatever value it's going through. When I have a vertical line, that's going to be an undefined slope. And underneath that, we're going to go ahead and write x equals a number. So here we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular. The first one we're going to talk about is parallel. So parallel slopes have the same slope. So if the slope of the top line is half, the slope of the bottom line is also going to be half. So they're going to be exactly the same. They'll have different y-intercepts and they'll never intersect. Now looking at the opposite side over here, we have what's called perpendicular lines. So these are lines that intersect to form a 90-degree angle, and they have opposite reciprocal slopes. So the top one, let's say if our slope on the first one is -4/3, the slope of the other one is going to be a negative reciprocal, which means if I place a negative in front of it, it becomes positive 3/4. I flip it. Problem number 1. What is the equation of a line that passes through the point -4, 2 and has a slope of 0? So if I were looking at the x and y axis, it says that it has to pass through -4, so let's go left 4, up 2, and it has to have a slope of 0, which means it has to be a flat line like this, and we're looking for it to go to -4, +2. Since it's a horizontal line, remember that that's going to be y equals a number, and we're looking for what is the y value that it goes through. So since it goes through 2, our equation is going to be y equals 2. Okay, number 2. Which of the following represents the equation and the slope of the line? Since this is a horizontal line, it's going to be y equals a number, and we're looking for what value it goes through. So it's going through -7. So y equals -7, that's what it's going through here. And if we look at our answer choices, A and D both say that, so we can cross out B and C. Next, we're looking for our slope. Since it's a horizontal line, our slope has to be 0. Problem 3. Which statement best represents the equation of the line shown on the grid and its relationship to the y-axis? So we're comparing the line that's already given to the y-axis, which is right here. So looking at the line that I just made in red and the line over here, notice that they're both going to be parallel. So here it says the equation of the line is x equals 3. So since it's a vertical line, it's going to be x equals a number. And does it go through 3? Yes. So it should be x equals 3. If you look at C and D, those both have the wrong equations. And then on the explanation, it says, and it's parallel to the y-axis or perpendicular to the y-axis. This one is parallel, so it should be A. Number 4. Which of the following is an equation that is perpendicular to the x-axis and lies 6 units to the left of the y-axis? So here we're looking at our x and y-axis. We want it to lie 6 units to the left of the y-axis. So here's my y-axis. If I go 6 to the left, that's -6, and it needs to be perpendicular to the x-axis. So here's the x-axis running this way. So perpendicular would mean it needs to run up and down. Since it's a vertical line, it needs to have x equals a number, and it goes through -6, so the answer has to be D. Number 5. Which of the following values is the slope of any line parallel to this? So in order to be parallel, that means they need to have the same slope. So if I need to have the same exact slope as this line, I first have to find the slope of this line. So let's move over the 5x, which becomes 7y minus 5x plus 6. Divide both sides by 7. So y equals -5/7x plus 6/7. So my slope has to be -5/7, which is D. Number 6. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line passing through point A and parallel to the given line. So it has to go through 1, 2, so that's your x1, y1 has to pass through this point, and it has to be parallel to this. So parallel means that I need to have the same slope. So if my slope is going down 1/3, I need to have that exact slope here. I need to go down 1/3. I can go the opposite way, up 1 over 3. So this has to be my line. Now, I can't tell right now what the y-intercept is. So here, yes, I can fill out the negative 1/3, but we're going to have to work it out and figure out what the y-intercept is. It's kind of hard to tell if it's exactly 2.5 or 2.3 or 2.2. So to figure that out, we're going to use our point slope form, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So y minus 2 equals negative 1/3 x minus 1. You're going to go ahead and distribute the negative 1/3, which becomes positive 1/3. And then you add 2 to both sides to move this over. So it becomes negative 1/3 for my slope. The y-intercept is actually 2 1/3. So here's my equation. Y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2 1/3. Number 7. What is the equation in standard form of a line that passes through this point and has to be parallel to this equation? So parallel to this equation means I need to find the slope and use that slope. 2y equals, move over the 5x, negative 5x plus 8, and divide by 2, which means y equals negative 5 over 2x plus 4. My slope has to be negative 5 over 2, and I have to pass through this point right here, which is 6, negative 1. So here I'm going to write my point slope form just like I did on the last problem. I'm going to plug in y minus negative 1, which becomes a plus 1, equals negative 5 over 2, x minus 6. From there, we're going to go ahead and distribute our negative 5 over 2. So it becomes negative 5 over 2x plus, that gives me 15. Then we're going to subtract our 1. So the slope-intercept form is y equals negative 5 over 2x plus 14. From there, we're trying to figure out which of these represents the same equation as this. So we can sit here and change each one into slope-intercept form and find the one that matches. I'm just going to go ahead and jump to C. If I take 5x plus 2y equals 28, let's change this to slope-intercept form. So 2y equals, move the 5x over, negative 5x plus 28, and then I would divide both sides by 2. So y equals negative 5 over 2x plus 14, which matches what we have here. So that means my answer has to be C. I could do that same thing for each problem, but I'm matching it to what we had for our answer. Problem 8. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of a line that crosses the x-axis at 3, so right here, right at 3, and is perpendicular to the line depicted in the graph? So perpendicular means I need a negative reciprocal slope. So the slope right now is going up 2 over 2. So it's positive 2 over 2, which is 1. So the negative reciprocal would be negative 1. So I need to go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1. We can also go the opposite direction, and I would keep going until you hit the y-axis, so that way you can find the y-intercept. Now this one hits perfectly right here, right at 1, 2, 3. So the y-intercept is right at positive 3, and that makes it nice and easy. So looking at my answer choices, I can cross out B and C. I want to have a positive 3, not a negative 3, positive 3, and my slope is a negative 1. So the answer has to be D. They just wrote it different. So y equals negative x plus 3. Number 9. Write the equation of the line that is perpendicular to the line given and passes through point A. So right now we want to figure out what is our slope. So it's going up 2 over 3, which means that a negative reciprocal would be negative 3 over 2. So down 3 to the right 2, down 3 to the right 2. So here's my new line. Okay, because I'm running out of time, I'm going to go ahead and give you the equation. It should be y equals negative 3 over 2x minus 1. That's our equation for number 9. Problem 10. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through this and is perpendicular to this? So in order to be perpendicular, make sure you find a negative reciprocal. Hold on. Right now our slope is negative 1 over 4. So negative reciprocal would be a positive 4. Looking at my answer choices, I can cross out those two. A and B are good. You want to make sure that it goes through this point, and because I've ran out of time to explain this, our answer is B.